Hi guys, today we're going to show you how to make a custom furniture base and for less than $20 transform your dresser from this to this. The original base on the dresser we are working on was held by some screws and wood glue, which was great because it was really easy to take it off. If your dresser has a solid piece of trim, you can simply cut it off with a saw. Just make sure all the edges are even and flush and you're good to go. You can use any type of wood, but today we're going for the cheapest option possible. Whole process is going to be exactly the same no matter what type of wood you decided to use. For the actual legs we just went with regular 2x4. And for the trim we chose 8 feet, 3 inches wide common board. While picking your wood, make sure it is as straight as possible to avoid problems along the way. As you can see, we paid only $11 for all the wood and there will be enough 2x4 left to make another 3 or 4 bases. With all the materials ready, we can get to measurements. Simply measure how wide and deep your dresser is at the base and write it down so you won't forget it. Now that I have everything I need written down, I can take the dresser and paint it. I will be using table saw for cuts, but I would recommend using compound miter saw if you have one. Or if you are really patient, you can just use a hand saw. You will also need a pencil and a speed square to do your markings, 220 grit sandpaper. I will be using some wood glue, but it's optional. The pocket hole jig we use is the cheapest one we could find in our local Home Depot. And since it's very basic, I will be using additional clamps. Depending on your choice of wood, you will need either softwood or hardwood pocket hole screws. And of course a drill driver. I start by measuring the front legs. You can make them in any size or style you like, as this process can be applied to pretty much any design you can think of. In this case I went with height of 6.5 inches. I cut 3 identical pieces, 2 of them are going to be our front legs and the third one will be cut in half and used for the rear ones. And again, you can make any kind of leg design that you like. I went with our go-to style with an angle cut on the inside. Just make sure to leave 3 inches on the top of the leg uncut, as that's where the base will be connecting. Now that all the legs are cut to size, we can move on to measuring the trims. I simply subtract the width of the 2 legs from the total width of the dresser. This leaves me with an exact measurement for the front trim. For the side trims, I subtract depth of the front and back legs combined. Using the measurements, I can now cut 3 pieces of the board, 1 for the front and 2 for the sides. Now it is a good time to sand everything with 220 grit paper. You can also sand the base after assembly, but I found it to be easier this way. After sanding, we are ready to drill pocket holes and assemble the base. Follow your pocket hole jig manufacturer's instruction to set up your jig. I clamp the jig guide in the middle of the board and make 2 holes on each side. And repeat for all 3 trim pieces that I have left. Using the same jig, I make few single holes going from the bottom to the top of the board. Those will be used to attach the whole base to the dresser. With all the holes drilled, I clamp down the front legs to the table and attach it using 2 screws and a bit of wood glue. Do not over torque your screws to avoid your legs splitting. Repeat the steps on all of your remaining legs and trims. After that, you can join the front and the sides together. All it takes is 12 screws and your new base is almost ready. You can use it as it is, paint it or stain it. We decided to match the stain to the top of the dresser. If you are using softwood, you can apply some pre-stained wood conditioner to avoid uneven staining. To install, align the base with your dresser and use 2 clamps to hold it in place. Using your vertical holes, screw everything to the dresser. You can also use some wood glue in addition to the screws, but it is optional. Aga applied some clear coat and the dresser is now ready.